Hello, my name is Cal Bloxham. I'm a Senior Solutions Architect with AWS. Today's demo builds upon an existing rules-based Amazon Lex chatbot. So instead of only fulfilling predefined intents through a static decision tree, we are going to use an Anthropic Claude V2 model on Amazon Bedrock, where Amazon Bedrock is an API-driven serverless platform to invoke and fine-tune foundation models, both those created by Amazon and other third-party model providers. In addition to using the Anthropic Claude V2 model on Bedrock, we are going to use synthetic customer data sources on Amazon DynamoDB and Amazon Kendra to provide a more dynamic experience. The example customer, any company in this case, has an AWS Amplify hosted website, which contains an Amazon Lex embedded chatbot shown by the company logo and corresponding banner in the bottom right, which reads, "Hello, welcome to any company. I'm your Amazon Bedrock FSI agent. You can ask me things like which type of mortgage should I use." We'll open the agent's dialog box and increase for readability. You'll see we're originally prompted for our username. I'll provide a valid username in the form of demo user. The agent then prompts me for my PIN. Then in order to authenticate the user, the agent performs a lookup on a DynamoDB table, confirms the user's credentials, and then reads back their personal account information. In this case, a mortgage account summary that includes a $640,000 loan at 5.735% interest with $250,000 of unpaid principal. The payment of $3,325 is scheduled for September 1st, 2023. Amazon Lex, which is the natural language understanding, natural language processing service that allows us to interact with the agent, then provides us with a static response card that contains three predefined intents: loan application, loan calculator, and Ask Gen AI. Instead of interacting with the agent through those static responses, we are going to instead use more natural language dialogue to interact with the agent, asking a question like, why should I use any company? At this point, you should be aware that the agent has the Anthropic Claude V2 model as a foundation model underlying it that enables the agent to perform chain of thought reasoning. So for the agent, chain of thought reasoning is its version of few-shot prompting, where through a series of thoughts, the agent asks itself whether or not it needs to leverage a tool, and then it iteratively goes through an action process until it ultimately develops a final answer that it can return to the user. So when we ask a question like, why should I use any company? We see a response back from the agent where there's a few reasons: long-standing reputation, competitive rates, broad product selection, accessible banking, strong financial standing. Then we see source attribution. So I see two links for anycompany.com /why choose us and /about us. As part of the agent's chain of thought reasoning, the agent can make use of tools, in our case, one particular tool, an Amazon Kendra index, which has been configured with two data sources, one being an Amazon S3 bucket that contains FAQ documents for any company, and the second being an Amazon Kendra web crawler that's configured for the customer's root domain. So that allows us to perform Retrieval Augmented Generation, or RAG, which allows us to augment the foundation model with additional data sources. One of the challenges with foundation models is that they're not always trained with the most up-to-date or contextually relevant information. So we can provide data augmentation through private data sources by using RAG, in our case, implemented through an Amazon Kendra index. Source attribution occurs through RAG, so we can see the source URLs configured through the Kendra web crawler and indexed using Kendra. We mentioned foundation models aren't always trained on the most up-to-date information. So in order to cover the gap between the time in which the model was trained and the data that it had access to at that time and present day, we can instrument Retrieval Augmented Generation to get more up-to-date data sources involved. So when we ask a question like, what are current mortgage trends? We expect that the agent will make use of some of the sources that it has available through RAG to provide a more up-to-date response. In this case, we see that current mortgage trends include mortgage rates expected to be continuing to rise in 2023. The average 30-year fixed rate mortgage is up 7%. up from 3% a year ago. Federal Reserve raises interest rates to fight inflation. Refi volumes are very low. Home sales have slowed. Adjustable rate mortgages are gaining popularity, and lending standards have tightened some. We see source attribution for NerdWallet and Forbes included here, knowing that we used retrieval augmented generation to provide more up-to-date data sources in order to provide a response to the user. We see that same static response card, and this time we're going to use contextual generation with the agent, asking a question like, how competitive are their rates? So in addition to the Amazon Kendra index tool that the agent has at its disposal, it also has access to a DynamoDB table. This table allows us to store chat history, so the agent can ultimately use it as a conversation buffer. So as part of the agent's contextual generation, the agent is able to take in the existing chat history and pass it as part of the prompt input to the Anthropic Cloud Foundation model that's orchestrated through the LangChain conversational agent. In this case, we see a response that any company offers very competitive rates. Some key points about their rates are their deposit account interest rates, some of their mortgage and home equity rates and fees, credit card interest rates, auto loan rates. They offer very competitive rates on personal loans. And then you see a summary along with that source attribution. So again, these are web crawler URLs that are indexed using Kendra. The agent also has the ability to answer more general knowledge questions like which type of mortgage should I use? So in this case, we might expect, given that the type of mortgage is not necessarily coming from any company specific domain, that we won't have any retrieval augmented generation. And that appears to be the case here. So we see no source attribution. This is a general knowledge question asking about different types of mortgages, so we don't need to use a customer specific data source indexed through any RAG implementation. Instead, we'll just ask the foundation model directly, get a response back about the conventional mortgages, FHA mortgages, VA mortgages, USDA, and jumbo. So that's the way that we can ask natural language dialogue questions to the agent, but we also have the ability through these response cards to fulfill predefined business workflows where maybe I need to go through a series of steps and collect necessary data inputs in order to complete the business workflow. Well, response cards with predefined static intents through Lex allow us to accomplish that goal. So I can choose loan application, and the agent then asks me what my desired loan amount is. We'll enter the value of $850,000. Next, we're asked about our monthly income. We'll say we make $13,000 a month. We do have a 2-year continuous work history, and then we're prompted for our credit score. So whereas with static decision tree based bots, you have to usually answer the bot's query without another question. In this case, we have the ability to still perform more dynamic natural language dialogue and ask a question like, how do I find that? The agent provides a response here along with some recommendations for how to find your credit score. So you see references to Credit Karma, annualcreditreport.com, Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian, along with some source attribution here for Experian.com and consumerfinance.gov, which must be source URLs configured on the web crawler URLs for the Amazon Kendra index. The agent then asks us, what do we think our current credit score is? We'll say we went and confirmed, and it was a value of 765. How much are we paying for housing each month? We'll say $3,500. Zero debt. And we have, we'll say $150,000 saved for a down payment. No co-borrower. And we're looking to close next Wednesday. The agent will confirm our intent to submit the loan application and begin the loan origination process. And once we confirm that, we're rendered an Amazon S3 URL that's pre-signed and allows us to download the business document that we just completed through that orchestrated conversational dialogue. So in this case, it's any company mortgage application where data collection occurred through natural dialogue to fulfill the fields of name, demo user, monthly net income, $13,000, credit score, 765, requested loan amount, $850,000, and down payment of $150,000. Look at the solution architecture shows that the customer can interact with the agent through their choice of web, SMS, or voice channels. We've demonstrated the web functionality where the customer interacts with the agent through an Amazon Lex embedded chatbot within an AWS Amplify website. That same Amazon Lex bot can be integrated with SMS channels using Amazon Lex's SNS integrations. And that Amazon Lex chatbot can also power interactive voice or IVR response capabilities through call center integration with Amazon Connect for the voice channel. Once the customer sends their prompt to Amazon Lex via the preferred channel, Amazon Lex then uses its natural language understanding to map that user prompt to an intent. Intent fulfillment occurs through an AWS Lambda, where the Lambda possesses the Lex handler business logic, instrumented through a LangChain conversational agent that has access to personal account information for the user within an Amazon DynamoDB table. We have access to DynamoDB to store chat history for ongoing contextual generation. That conversational agent is also powered by an Anthropic Claude v2 model on Amazon Bedrock. So we have the ability to invoke that model privately and make sure that all of our data remains on private network through VPC endpoint access from the Lambda. Then retrieval augmented generation, or RAG, occurs through Amazon Kendra, an index that's backed by two data sources, an Amazon S3 bucket that contains FAQ documents for any company, and a Kendra web crawler that's configured for the customer root domain with a crawl depth of 3. Taking a deeper look at the agent's logic, you see that, again, the LangChain conversational agent is instrumented using an AWS Lambda function. The customer sends their prompt through their preferred channel. The agent then takes the contextual chat history from the DynamoDB chat buffer, pulls that in as additional prompt context so that the agent can facilitate its chain of thought reasoning, where the agent will ask itself through a series of questions a thought: do I need to use a tool? If the agent needs to use a tool, then it has the ability to access one tool, an Amazon Kendra index, that allows us to pull in relevant documents and text from web pages as embeddings, as we continue to iterate through our chain of thought reasoning until the agent finally comes up with a final answer that it can send back to the customer over the same channel through which they began the interaction. And that's it for today's demo. Thanks for watching.